Hi, in this video I wanted to help you learn how to make a swing out of Lego. So here's one example, and this is actually used parts from a We Do Too kit, if you happen to have one of those. It doesn't use any of the programming elements or mechanical parts within there, but can be made with all the parts within a kit. If you don't have one of those, I've made an alternative swing. This one simply uses other types of Lego. Now in this video I don't necessarily want you to teach you how to copy these particular designs, although hopefully there'll be enough information there for you to do that, but the idea is to give you the basic information you need to design your own swing, and maybe you can do something significantly better than what I've got here. These are quite basic. And if you're doing this as part of the Treehouse Challenge, then obviously you can incorporate your swing into your tree or into some of the treehouse design. So let's get started. So, first of all, I want us to think about what a swing actually is. Lots of you will have seen swings in the garden, in your own garden, in parks, wherever you might be. And obviously what they have is a swing base, something you can sit on. Now you can also think about a swing as being more of a trapeze or something else that you might use for gymnastics, all sorts of different designs, but the basic swing tends to sit like that. Or for a preschooler, obviously, there are sometimes buckets with more of a chair. But the important parts are that this is attached to something at the top that allows the joint here to rotate. So if I were to show you the design here, so this part of the top here needs to be able to move. Okay, whereas at the bottom, it needs to be fixed. Otherwise it would slide up and down, so I've got blockers at either side there. And then you have these two sturdy pieces at the side. So in a swing they often look a bit like that and are cemented into the ground to give it stability. Now we're dealing with Lego here, so you might have something here. Quite often it's got a loop at the top, something like that, and they're attached like that. But the important thing is that you can swing from that point and it's attached securely at this point, and that any rocking motion backwards and forwards is not going to cause the swing to fall over backwards or forwards or side to side. So that's the basic thing. So if you're trying to design some sort of swing like this, first of all, one of the things I would suggest is that you think about this joint here. Think about what you're going to make these out of, and that could be made of some sort of string or some sort of fixed item, and I've used both options in mine, and what the joint at the top is. So, giving you two examples here of what I've used for the top. If you have pieces with holes in, a long piece with holes in like this can be the perfect piece to attach at the top. So if you've got a few pieces with holes in like that, and I've got some pieces with holes in at the bottom as well, I've put those underneath the seat. I'm not sure whether you can think about why that might be, but if I were just to stick, I've actually made two as well to make it a little bit more sturdy, but one on here, and then you give this a pull too hard and that will come off. Whereas, just focus this camera again a bit more. Okay. Whereas if you put these two, and I've put two together to give it even more stability, and attach them underneath, like that, then any amount of pulling, you'd have to break the wool or string or whatever you're using, because it would have to pull through this piece. So that gives it a bit of stability on the seat. I've also put a flat piece to make it easy, nice to sit on, but that's just really a design feature. The important thing is you've got holes in the top, holes in the bottom, and tied. In my case, I've just used a piece of wool. You may have things in that you've come out of other Lego kits that are sort of string-like or cord-like, but this works perfectly well. In the alternative design over here, that I use the We Do kit parts from, I've done it rather differently. So in this design, actually everything is made out of solid pieces. I don't have any wool, string or anything like that this time. So let me talk you through what I've got here. I'm going to take these bits apart. So I have two pieces, one on either end, that look like that. they have a cross on them because what I'm using in the middle here is a piece that has a cross. Now, any length will do so long as it's long enough to fit both sides of the swing on, but that's the basic piece that you can use for that. Then what I've done is used pieces that look like this, and quite often you get these in kits. They have a kind of the square end at one end, and they have a circular end at the other end. And of course, if you put the square end on to a piece like this, it can't move, nothing can move. But if you put it on the circular side, then you can see that moves beautifully. Now, so I've used one of those for the moving part at the top of the swing, and because we don't want those to slide too much around, I've actually used one of these pieces, let's just see that, on either side just to stop it moving around. If you've got lots of them, then you can use more of those, but I only had a couple. So I've used one of those pieces, and then I've used a second square-ended piece for effectively the cord that runs down the side. I've done that on both sides. Yeah, and put that one on the other side of that. Okay, forget this bottom piece for a minute. Get that out of the way so it's not confusing. So now we've got the two swinging pieces. Yeah. And then I've just put those into the square blocks at the end, which again, because it's got a square hole in the middle, it'll hold it sturdy. So as long as you then attach these onto the top of some Lego, that'll hold it still at this point, but allow these to rotate. And then all I've done at the bottom is to use a couple of things so that it can't slide up and down. So these pieces, which again have a square middle to them that don't let you rotate, I put one of those on each side because without those the seat would just be able to slide up and down, so that stops it from sliding up and down, and we can position those later. I've then used this sort of piece, so that's just a long piece with holes in, and I've put those two pieces just in the middle, they're just decoration to make it look like there's a smooth sitting place. And I've so if you slide one of those on that side, one of those on that side, and these two pieces back on, you basically have a seat. So in this case I've used for the seat a part that had holes in the top, so the whole thing works from top down, but you could equally do it, as I said before, with the other piece, which I'll show you in a second. And then just to finish it off with this particular design, all I've done is, because I was trying to do it only using the We Do kit, is to use lots of pieces from the We Do kit, lots of little pieces, standard bricks, to build up the height to being tall enough. I'll turn it sideways so you can see. So I've made sure they look the same on both sides, it doesn't have to make sure it's the right width and right height to ensure that sticks on top, and then that can swing. Yeah. That's what we've ended up with on that one. It's not quite straight if you look, so you can kind of shuffle that along to make it look a little bit more even. Various little adjustments you can make so that it swings beautifully. So that's that one. On the other design, so if you noticed before we were talking about this one that just has holes in, so that's for people who don't have a We Do kit or don't have the pieces I showed you before. And there are lots of other pieces that could work. This is just an example. Once you've got that far, what you really want to do is make sure you can give it some height. So what I did was to create bricks like that. There are all sorts of ways you can, again, do these. These aren't terribly sturdy that way. They're quite sturdy that way, but you would, if this was a real swing with real people on, need a little bit more rigidity. Sometimes you can find that they point them out in swings out slightly pointing outwards and slightly in triangles. That's because triangles are really strong on their point, and by angling it slightly in, there's quite a long way before it would fall over. But for the sake of what we're doing here, this would be sufficient just to demonstrate a swing perfectly enough. So you may have better ideas, but all I've done is stack some of those up, put the swing on, and it'll swing away happily. Lots of different designs you can go for. You can try and make it more accessible by giving a bigger seating position here where you can sit a wheelchair or something. There are all sorts of other things you can do, but that gives you the basic idea of how to make a swing.